Let's continue how to become a better presenter. And for that, there are a whole bunch of video clips that I have linked here. So I encourage you to click on at least 2 or 3 of them so that you get a good idea of what is a bad presentation, what is a good presentation, and how you can become a much better presenter at the end of this course. So they are all very useful tips: how you should talk, how you should prepare your presentation materials, what you should do with your hands, and whether you can be distracting or not. Obviously you should not be distracting. So there are lots of things that are being discussed here, and we will talk about it while we are having a chat in the classroom. Let us talk about section 10.1, where you have to prepare so that your presentations are much better. Remember to keep your eye on the price. That is, you are essentially trying to make a sale. You are trying to close the sale, which is step number 6. So if you don't close the sale, then you are not successful, right? So you have to keep your eye on the price. That's what the book says, which I also totally agree with. So I want you to think about it. So your presentation should kind of take you towards attaining the goal of making a successful sales. Keep in mind that your initial sales presentation is primarily about building a relationship. So it's important that you build a relationship so that you can begin a partnership. Partnership is all about working together with your customer. And your customer has a problem, you have to partner with them, you have to develop a professional relationship with them so that you can identify that problem and you can help them solve it through the use of your product. And if your product doesn't help it, that's okay. You can always sell your product to somebody else who has the problem. Maybe you will develop a much better relationship with this person that they may buy from you down the road, if not right now. And also the book says it's a good idea to visualize the outcome before going into the meeting. And this is what they say: begin with the end in sight. Okay, so you are starting your presentation after 3 or 4 meetings, and ask yourself, how many more meetings am I going to have? And in another couple of weeks, where would I like to be in this particular professional relationship with this customer? And that's a very important thing. For that, you have to create objectives. You remember, objectives have to be SMART: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So the objectives have got to be SMART. What will it look like to achieve these objectives? If you are able to achieve all your objectives with that particular sales call, what will it look like? Will you be able to make a $10,000 sale or a $50,000 sale? Where will it put you within your company? How will your manager approach you? What are your professional aspirations? Where will you go after that? So you have to think about it. What steps will you and your prospect have to take? You have to think about it. Similarly, how will it feel when both of you have achieved your goals? You achieved your sales target and the customer achieved their objective of overcoming their problem. In that case, it's a win-win situation. Okay, so you have to think in terms of win-win. It is not like you take their money and run away and they are losing. You don't want that. Okay, so you have to win, your customer has to win. And if your customer is selling their product to somebody else, even that third party, that third customer should also win. So think about it. Each step of the presentations will come naturally to you because you have already practiced. So practice makes perfection. I have taught this course 10 times. So I don't even have to go and look into the notes. I can just start filling out the blanks very easily. Why? Because I have talked about it. I have thought about it multiple times. I put the document together. So I have seen this document at least 30, 40 times so far. So the more you practice, the better it will be for you. Actually, there is one another suggestion later in this chapter that you have to practice everything 25 times. Okay, so 25 times you need to practice. So think about it. And you will be better positioned to sell adaptively. Adaptive selling is a really big concept within selling. That is, yes, you have a script. Yes, you have a presentation, and you go there, and after going there, you realize that whatever you brought is not the right materials for the customer. That means immediately you toss out everything you have and you adapt to the new situation that your customer is in. And that way, you will not be looking like out of place, because you thought you are going to sell a tractor. Maybe they are not looking for a tractor, they are looking for combine or something else. So you have to change your presentation and you have to start working in a very different manner, which is what we call adaptive selling. I had a presenter, or I had a speaker from a local cooperative, and when he came, he said they train all their salespeople in adaptive selling. Okay, so this is a really big concept, and that is when I thought maybe I will highlight that in the red color fonts, because you have already imagined a number of possible scenarios, and customer, you can write it as problems and issues. Problems, issues, and solutions. For every type of problem, there is a solution, and as a salesperson, you are going to present it to your potential customer. And if you are unable to come up with a solution, you are still going to brainstorm together with your customer so that you can solve it. Okay. Now, adaptive selling, I told you, right? And that is the same thing. To adapt, what you have to do, the first thing you have to do is you have to listen. You might have heard this age-old saying, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. You speak less and hear more. So for that, you have to listen. Okay, so there are some interesting video clips that I typically show, this particular one in the classroom. I encourage you to click on that and watch it. And if you are in a little bit of a silly mood, I would encourage you to watch this Biscotti Kid. It's a very funny video, but the whole idea is how you can listen so that you become much better when it comes to making a presentation. And it could be sales presentation, it could be your project presentation at the end of the semester, but you have to learn to listen. And if the customer says, you know what, I am really not in a position to buy right now, but I am really looking for somebody else to fix this particular issue that I have, maybe you may be the person that can also provide that service. So maybe instead of trying to sell them fertilizers, you can start selling them chemicals or some other environmentally friendly product. Okay, so for that you have to listen. So these are all the important things that I want you to think about when it comes to sales. Now, some other things also matter. For instance, when you are making a trip, oftentimes as a salesperson, you will be on the road a lot. You will be driving 50,000 miles, 100,000 miles a year. Actually, there was one speaker that came to my class and he said he had bought a new truck and he had already put about 100,000 miles in less than 8 months. Okay, he was covering Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania, and quite a few places, and he said he's always on the road. So you have to be ready for that as well. So you have to go to that particular place to make a presentation. And you have to be thinking about, okay, if I'm going to make a presentation tomorrow, you have already driven today or you have flown today to your customer's location, and ask yourself the night before, what are the important things that you have to do? You have to look into your pre-call objectives. Okay, what are the things that you are going to accomplish at the end of the meeting? Practice your presentation. I already told you, practice makes perfection. Out loud, so you may want to stand in front of your bathroom mirror and talk it out, and you can pay attention to your own body language. And the 3 or 4 times practice, actually it's 25 times, but gradually you will get the hang of it. And walk through your mental rehearsal. Sometimes you can just keep your mouth closed and just think about what you're going to say. When you say something, what type of response you are going to get potentially from the customers. How are you going to answer to that particular question? So you have to think about it. And also you need to have a very positive frame of mind. That is, you have to visualize success. Oh, you know what? I'm going to really answer all their concerns and questions and be successful. If you don't visualize and if you are in a pessimistic mood, that will kind of come up in your tone as well. And you'll be thinking, oh, I am going to fail. If I'm going to fail, then why am I even here? Why did I travel all the way here? You don't want to be thinking like that. You are there to help your customers. So let us try to get that thing done. Okay, so think about it. And the book also says when it comes to making a presentation in your customer's location, which is far away, be punctual. find parking, give up extra time to arrive. Sometimes I can go all the from here to Cleveland in less than 30-40 minutes, but to park my car and go into the building, I will take another 15-20 minutes. It has happened, okay? So you have to ask yourself, okay, how much time do I have? Do I use it properly? And in case if you are a little late and if you are not on time, then it will look bad on you, okay? So people are making judgments, whether it is right or not, they are making judgments. And the book also tells you quite a few other things to think about. Assemble supplies. Use handouts. Make sure you have enough copies. You may be thinking that you are going to talk to 2 or 3 people, but there may be 10 people. Then having some extra copies might help. Check your clothes. Does anything need to be ironed? You have to think about it. And do you have all the materials that you need to take with you? Make sure you have directions to your meeting. It may be in a particular building, in a particular room. You don't want to be just looking for the room at the last minute, and if you are a little, perspiring, people will kind of see that and they feel like, oh, you are already anxious. And you want to be calm and quiet. That's very important as well. Parking situation, which we already talked about. Write down a contact number or put in your cell phone to call in case you are unavoidably delayed. You don't want to be delayed, but if you are going to be delayed, you just give them heads up, okay? 5 to 10 minutes before or even half an hour before, you tell them you are running late so that you will be arriving there at a particular time. Rehearse your presentation. That is what we said. Practice. So practicing is very important. Review your pre-call objectives and visualize success. That also we already saw here. So these things are very important, and I want you to think about it when it comes to making a powerful, successful sales presentation. In the next video clip, we will talk about section 10.2, dressing for success, which is really fun. How many of you would like to dress like Spider-Man? Oops, that's Batman. Oops, I have to go and refresh on my superheroes. Bye-bye.